In '88, George Albert Smith made one of the principal Christmas films on record. The straightforward high-contrast film indicated Santa descending the smokestack of a family home and conveying presents to resting youngsters. Checking in at a little more than a moment long. The quiet picture shows exactly how drastically the business has changed. The Christmas film is currently large business, with Hollywood delivering anything from blockbuster legends to telefilm feel products. Each July, Christmas adornments start assuming control over pieces of British Columbia in Canada. Film groups swarm the territory and start making many modest happy-themed motion pictures for any semblance of Hallmark and Lifetime. A considerable lot of the significant streaming destinations, including Netflix, additionally committing. With the Yuletide season upon us indeed, and with countless individuals still in lockdown, there is a lot of time to get up to speed with a portion of the works of art. Along these lines, right away, we should investigate only 10 charming Christmas film realities. 10. Home Alone. Home Alone was made on a tight spending plan of just $18 million. Warner Brothers was initially in charge of the undertaking, until creation costs took off past the film's underlying $10 million spending plan. However, Home Alone author John Hughes anticipated the studio would break faith on its responsibilities. He furtively organized an elective patron, leaving a duplicate of the content at the central command of 20th Century Fox. Fundamentally, a screenplay was left someplace so somebody could get it. It was covertly conveyed, clarified maker Scott Rosenfeld. So when Warner rejected creation, Hughes and co. were prepared to proceed with work under an altogether extraordinary studio. Financing stayed a significant obstruction. The entertainer who played Marv, Daniel Stern, quit after he was approached to work an extra 14 days with no additional compensation. After things didn't work out with his substitution, the studio persuaded Stern to return. Then, John Candy was paid for all intents and purposes nothing for his function as Gus Polinski, the adorable artist who reunites Kevin McAllister with his mom. Candy shot his scenes in a solitary day and got less compensation than the entertainer who played the pizza conveyance fellow, $414. The film has since earned almost a large portion of $1 billion. 09. Die Hard. Bruce Willis wasn't the studio's best option to play John McClane. The studio, quick to get an attempted and tried activity star ready, first moved toward any semblance of Sylvester Stallone and Harrison Ford. Indeed, even Clint Eastwood, who claimed the rights to the film during the '80s, was considered for the part. The studio had so little trust in Willis' capacity to get eyeballs in the cinema world that it promoted the film banners with pictures of simply the Nakatomi Plaza. At that point, Willis was featuring close by Sybil Shepherd in the satire TV show Moonlighting. Creation of Die Hard tangled with going for Moonlighting, which means Willis was at first compelled to dismiss the part. In 2013, the entertainer clarified how everything changed, expressed gratitude toward God. Sybil Shepherd got pregnant. Producer, Glenn Caron, gave us off 11 weeks and I went to go do Die Hard. Willis experienced a great deal during his time as the crude but effective New York cop. He lost 66% of his hearing in one ear, after shooting empty shell cartridges from a prop firearm. On his first day of shooting, he played out an activity stunt including a blast on Nakatomi's housetop helipad. It was a 5-story carport. The creation group utilized packs of gas to reproduce the structure detonating, spreading Willis in fire retardant goo to shield him from the resulting hellfire. The power of the impact was amazing to such an extent that it nearly tossed the activity star away from the air sac. I resembled, for what reason would you shoot this scene first? and they resembled, on the off chance that you were executed toward the finish of the film. It would cost us much more cash to reshoot the entire thing with another entertainer. 08. It's a Wonderful Life. Forthcoming Capra's It's a Wonderful Life is generally viewed as probably the best film ever. This was not generally the situation, be that as it may. The film got blended surveys upon its delivery in December 1946 and at first neglected to recover its creation costs. The film immediately vanished from public cognizance, until many years after the fact. Incidentally, films shot before 1968 are dependent upon the U.S. Copyright Act of 1909. Any film that falls under the demonstration is consequently granted a 28-year copyright term. A second 28-year term at that point comes into power, however, just if the copyright holder applies for it. For this situation, Republic Pictures neglected to round out the fundamental administrative work and lost its privileges to the film. The humiliating goof implied It's a Wonderful Life entered the public area in 1978, provoking telecom companies to communicate the film during the special seasons. Following quite a few years of sovereignty-free transmissions, the film got inseparable from Christmas. In 1993, Republic Pictures took the issue to the Supreme Court. The studio contended that it held copyright advantages, since it claimed the rights to the story the film depended on, The Greatest Gift. After winning the case, Republic gave NBC selective rights to show the film on its organization. 07. The Grinch was a tiresome encounter for everybody included. It took more than 8 hours to apply the cosmetics for Jim Carrey's first shoot. Carrey was a long way from delighted. He got back to his trailer and, furiously, put his foot through the divider. The studio took irregular measures, masterminding Carrey to meet with somebody who had practical experience in showing CIA agents how to suffer torment. With everything taken into account, Carrey had to wear the Grinch suit 100 times. This tiresome cycle likewise negatively affected the film star's cosmetics craftsman, Kazuhiro Tsuji. In 2017, Kazuhiro told the press that creation of the film was deferred due to Carrey's numerous emergencies, with the entertainer regularly disappearing for extensive stretches. While the environment on set ultimately improved, the cosmetics craftsman later conceded that he required treatment meetings in the wake of working with Carrey. 06. Scrooged in 1988. Bill Murray charmed crowds with his satire take on A Christmas Carol, Scrooged. The film sees Murray fill the role of Frank Cross, a big cheese TV leader who gets fixated on getting the best organization evaluations. Like Dickens' Ebenezer Scrooge, Cross is visited by 3 apparitions who help him to remember the significance of kinship and family during Christmas. A few scenes include the ghost of Christmas Present, Carol Kane, a harsh pixie who continually beats, slaps, and squeezes Frank into accommodation. A lot of this droll parody, it ends up, was genuine. Bill Murray wrongly told Kane to make the scenes look as bona fide as could reasonably be expected. There's a bit of skin that associates your lip with your gums and it was truly pulled away, Murray reviews. She truly hurt me. Shooting was briefly suspended to permit the entertainer's lip to recuperate itself. One of Murray's siblings, who likewise featured in the film, discovered the scenes especially charming. It was fun watching Carol Kane nearly take his nose off with a toaster oven over and over. The scenes influenced Kane inwardly. In a meeting with the now ancient science fiction magazine Starlog, Murray and movie chief Richard Donner depicted how the entertainer would separate in tears for 20 minutes all at once. 05. Elf 2 Mythical Being was a lifelong first for Will Ferrell, speaking to his first lead function in a significant film. The film got basic recognition and proceeded to net a faltering $220 million. so it came as an incredible astonishment to discover that a spin-off was not at this point underway. Formally, Farrell says he declined the job since he would not like to play Mate, the moderately aged mythical person. Actor James Caan, who played Buddy's dad, has a fairly unique interpretation of why Elf 2 never occurred. The chief, Jon Favreau, and Will didn't get along quite well. Will needed to do it, and he didn't need the chief. He had it in his agreement. It was a unique little something. The studio offered the Anchorman star $29 million to return the green leggings on, however Farrell declined. In a meeting in 2006, the parody legend said he was unable to stomach making a disappointing continuation for a snappy butt. 04. The Nightmare Before Christmas. The Nightmare Before Christmas utilized stop-movement activity to bring Jack Skellington and his creepy companions to life. As the Tim Burton epic was shot in 24 casings for every second, artists would have to move every one of the characters in a scene multiple times for each second of usable film. With only one moment of film taking as long as 7 days to shoot, it's no big surprise the film took 3 years to wrap up. Toward the beginning of creation, a group of stoneworkers set about making several mannequins. Portable skeletons were implanted in each character shape, permitting illustrators to move them on the fly. A considerable lot of the outward appearances were accomplished by exchanging between various model heads. Jack Skellington, for instance, had around 400 heads. The studio developed many model sets across 19 sound stages. A progression of hidden entryways were then cut into each set, giving enough space to film laborers to reposition their characters. This cycle was not without its troubles, however. A solitary misstep in the lighting or camera work would cost the group long periods of work. In the event that you disapprove of an edge, you need to re-photo the whole thing, clarified the managing illustrator, Eric Layton, 03. White Christmas. The 1950s was the golden age of television, with TV sets beginning to show up in parlors across America. The move started alarm among film chiefs, who saw that a large number of their prominent stars were moving to TV. In an offer to keep crowds returning to the cinema, new advancements were beginning to pick up foothold. Delivered in 1954, White Christmas was praised for acquainting filmgoers with VistaVision, another printing cycle that gave further shadings and a more keen widescreen picture. It worked. The Christmas flick was a tempest in the cinematic world, rounding up over $12 million and creating rave reviews. White Christmas tells the story of a few filmmakers, played by Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, who attempt to spare their previous armed force pals' hotel from monetary ruin. The two put on a phase act at the foundation and welcome their faithful comrades to join in. The last scene sees Crosby and Kaye close out the show with a notorious interpretation of White Christmas. Rosemary Clooney, George Clooney's auntie, played Crosby's adoration interest. She reviews how the cast and group had quite recently wrapping up the movie's melodic finale when the chief, Michael Curtiz, asked him to redo the whole scene. The chief idea the imagined reshoot would intrigue 2 or 3 unique guests, the Lord and Sovereign of Greece. In any case, Crosby wasn't a fanatic of the thought. Michael Curtiz stated, "Presently the ruler and sovereign of Greece are staying with the set, and I need to imagine that we're shooting this over once more," clarified Clooney. Furthermore, I hear Bing whispering, "Not me," and so I state, "Where are you going to go?" And he says, "Golf." 02. Love Actually follows a gathering of normal individuals as they gear up for the Christmas occasions. The film's entwining story turned into a tremendous film industry achievement following its 2003 delivery, with the film procuring a solid $250 million. Yet, incidentally, one significant story curve was left on the cutting room floor. The movie's essayist-in-chief, Richard Curtis, thought of an appalling anecdote about a lesbian headmistress who loses her accomplice to malignancy. The crowd is first acquainted with the headmistress as she sanches an understudy for thinking of a strange Christmas wish, the capacity to see an individual's farts. In any case, we before long realize there is an explanation behind her funny bone disappointment. After school completes, she gets back and cooks for her out-of-commission accomplice Geraldine. As the scene unfurls, we before long find that Geraldine is in critical condition. "I was truly sorry to lose this," said Curtis. The popular parody author clarified that the couple's story was cut since one of the scenes not at this point seemed well and good after the altar. He likewise addressed the unexpectedness of Geraldine's demise, which gets just a passing reference before the film's finale. 01. A Charlie Brown Christmas. A Charlie Brown Christmas resisted desires upon its delivery in 1965, with almost 50% of the TV possessing public checking out watch the animation. Today, the occasion exceptional is a staple of the American Christmas. Yet, in the approach the transmission, TV chiefs were not persuaded of its latent capacity. Charlie Brown discussions about how Christmas is making him discouraged while different characters whine about the happy season's commercialization. The organization managers were basic, asserting the work was more qualified to the comic page. CBS simply chose to run The Uncommon on the grounds that it was at that point recorded in the TV control. The makers were likewise tangled. The liveliness chief, Bill Melendez, thought the strict themed finishing was excessively perilous. A gloomy Charlie Brown asks, "Isn't there any individual who understands what is the issue here?" Linus reacts with an ideal presentation of the Gospel of Luke, becoming the overwhelming focus to describe the introduction of Jesus Christ. It was Charles Schulz, the maker of the Peanut Pack, who pushed for the incorporation of the biblical refrains. Having changed over to Christianity not long after his experience of World War II, a lot of Schulz's work was intensely affected by religion. Melendez stayed anxious about Linus' speech, as most network shows evaded strict subjects. Schulz told Melendez, "Bill, on the off chance that we don't do it, who else can?" The bet paid off, and A Charlie Brown Christmas looks set to praise its 55th commemoration.